By a show of hands here, did anybody vote in the last election? 40%. Okay. Who here is registered to vote? 80% of us. According to an article on pewresearch.org, the article is titled U.S. Trails Most Developed Countries in Voter Turnout from May of 2018 by Drew Schlesinger. The United States is one of the lowest ranked democratic countries in voter turnout. We are actually number 31 out of 38, with only Japan, Switzerland, and Chile being ranked any lower than us for voters that turn out to vote. Originally, this was a right only given to white men over the age of 21 who owned property and were educated because they had to pass a literacy test and be able to pay a poll tax. After the Civil War ended in 1870, the 15th Amendment was passed in order to allow African American men the right to vote as long as they could pay the tax and pass the test. Later, between 1920 and 1971, the 19th, 24th, and 26th Amendments were passed that allowed women the right to vote and abolished the tax and the poll tax and the literacy test, and lowered the age of voting to 18. Now, anybody in the United States that is a citizen, regardless of their sex, race, class, occupation, or even level of education or amount of money they have, is allowed to vote in the United States. Today I'm going to give you some voter statistics, some ways that we benefit from being a voter, how to register, and how to get excited about being a voter. In an article on Census.gov titled Characteristics of Voters in the Presidential Election of 2016, they say that in the United States there are 224 American citizens of eligible voter age. Of these, only 157 million are registered to vote, and in the 2016 election, only 137 million of these people actually voted. Clinton received 65.8 million votes, and Trump received 62.9 million votes, which leaves 2.8 million votes between them. But 20 million people did not vote. What if they had voted? Maybe the result would have been very different. It is estimated that only 60% of eligible voters turn out for presidential elections, and only 40% of voters turn out for midterm elections. Why should we vote? Many people died and fought for our freedom to give us the right to vote. As I said previously, only white men of a certain stature were allowed to vote, and nobody else's opinion even mattered. On pollingplacephotoproject.org, they remind us that we are not only voting for an official into an office, but that we are voting on measuring the measure of government rights, local policy, and social issues. Nonprofit.org says that people who are voters are more often volunteers in the community, and they know more info about local affairs, and they have formed a tight community bond with their people that they know. Elections have consequences, such as raising of the minimum wage or the amount of funding or grants that schools receive when people vote. Not voting is giving somebody else the right to decide what they're going to do with your tax money. When you vote, you are telling the government how you want your money spent. What if you and your friends and all of your neighbors didn't vote? Who is making the decision for your community? In many countries, they wish they had the right to vote and make decisions for their government. In some countries, it is illegal not to vote, and they have to pay a hefty tax. Voting makes us equal, the richest of the rich and the poorest of the poor. We all only have one vote. Voting now is going to affect future generations for our children and the people behind us. There are many reasons that people say that they don't vote. They think that registration is too difficult, they don't like the candidates, and they can't relate to the issues. According to myflorida.com, registering to vote in the state of Florida is relatively easy. You can apply online or in person at any tax collector's office or voter registration agency. You can also mail in an application. The only requirements are being 18 or 16 if you want to pre-register, be a citizen of the United States and a Florida resident, not have a felony on record, and make sure you vote within 29 days before any election and not be deemed mentally incompetent. On polling day, polls are open from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m., and anybody in line at 7 p.m. is allowed the right to vote. You may also vote early or turn in an absentee vote if you're going to be out of town. You can do a little research to see which candidate or party that most aligns with your values and beliefs. No issue is too small not to matter. So what's important to you? Property taxes, education, healthcare, any of those stand out to you? You can get together with your friends or join a community meeting and have some healthy debates to decide on where you stand on the issues at hand. Today I've shared some statistics about voting, given you many reasons why we should vote, told you how to register and how to get passionate about voting. We owe it to our ancestors and to the future generations to get involved. As women's rights activist Susan B. Anthony once said, "Someone struggled for your right to vote, so use it." We need to be a part of something bigger than ourselves and get out and vote. If anybody needs any help on registering to vote or we want to know how, I'm here to help you. Thank you.